Oh! In a big way goes car number 7, the Holden Commodore that was third. Its race is run. That's Brad Jones, the car that he was sharing with Neil Crompton. You say it's run, it's still travelling fairly quickly. But, gee, there's a lot of things going down through the cylinders in that car that weren't meant to.
I think they're revving the cars a lot harder than they ever have now, Will. They're revving them to sort of 8,500 revs. And Peter Brock's car and Brad Jones' car there today have had the same problem.
Yes, you get power with revs, among other things, and a lot of people saying it was going to be the Nissan Skyline that would be mechanically vulnerable. It was so complex. Look at what happens when he opens it up. There's a piston gone or something pretty dramatic. But in fact, the Skyline's been ultra-reliable, and perhaps, in fact, it's the complexity, the electronic control of the car that's kept it as...
The bits is the Peter Fitzgerald Alan Jones BMW, and the answer is no electrics whatsoever. They're calling for a new battery. So dead flat battery, Alan Jones in his going home gear. Alan, the car also had a problem with the rear end.
Yeah, we lost the rear roll bar on lap 1, so we lost our balance completely. It's just understeering like a dog. So we're probably lapping about a good second and a half slower than what we were capable of, and we can't afford to give that sort of time away.
So they start again, the third race start in a sense, twice under pace car instruction. The race leader 30 there, trying to forge his way through, Greg Hansford. And some of the cars in front of him do not lead him in the race. Obviously the race leader, Mark Gibbs, way back. His second placed car avoided by the skin of his teeth, losing a full lap to the race leader. And after the problems with the electrics, the BMW, car number 25, is in 4th place. It has the Holden Racing Team car, number 7, of Neil Crompton and Brad Jones up in front of them. They're in 3rd. This is the race leader, though. And the Brock car 05 still surviving. So, to summarise those placings after 110 laps, in this Drink Drive 500, 161 lap race at Sandown, it is this Sierra leading the Nissan Skyline GTR of Mark Gibbs, Rowan Onslow now driving it, and just in the car, and then Neil Crompton, Brad Jones, for the first time up into a major placing. And we wonder if there's a misfire in the Sierra.
There certainly is a misfire in the Sierra. It's misfiring so badly it sounds like it's almost terminal, Glenn. What's the problem?
Oh, I don't really know. Greg doesn't really know at the moment. He's not losing a lot of time, so we'll just keep plodding on and hopefully it'll get to the end.
See Brad Jones now looming up behind them. He's probably going as fast as anybody else out there at the moment.
It's a very complex race at the moment. Hansford goes in, surrenders the race lead to Rowan Onslow. So the Skyline back into the lead.
And this is going to be a stop purely for tyres and fuel. There will be no brake pads going on the motor car. Glenn Seaton goes to get into it. Hansford helping him out. 11.5 seconds. They're obviously discussing the misfire that occurred in the car just a few laps before. Filling the water bottle inside the car, which puts cooling water onto the front brakes. Throughout the event, 28 seconds gone. Only the front left-hand tyre now to go on. And we've got this shot to pieces. 34, 35, 36, 37 seconds. Glenn Seaton's out of the pits.
And that's the 7th race lead change we've had so far. And that's in 116 laps of the race. Rowan Onslow doing a good job in the Skyline GTR that leads the race at this stage. Just doing low 18s, the last lap of 118.2, a 52-second lead over Glenn Seaton. Now back at the wheel of the Ford Sierra that's in 2nd place. The Holden Commodore of Neil Crompton, with Brad Jones currently at the wheel in car 7, is in 3rd place. But the important point is that the car leading, number 4, probably has another pit stop to make. Car 30 doesn't. Oh! In a big way goes car number 7, the Holden Commodore that was third. Its race is run. That's Brad Jones, the car that he was sharing with Neil Crompton. We say it's run, it's still travelling fairly quickly. But, gee, there's a lot of things going down through the cylinders in that car that weren't meant to.
I think they're revving the cars a lot harder than they ever have now, Will. They're revving them to sort of 8,500 revs. And Peter Brock's car and Brad Jones' car there today have had the same problem.
Yes, you get power with revs, among other things, and a lot of people saying it was going to be the Nissan Skyline that would be mechanically vulnerable. It was so complex. Look at what happens when he opens it up. There's a piston gone or something pretty dramatic. But in fact, the Skyline's been ultra-reliable, and perhaps, in fact, it's the complexity, the electronic control of the car that's kept it as sound as it's been through this race.
I think the car proved in the 24-hour race at Spa that it's been a very good package.
If you want to know the definition of terminal, that's this Holden Racing Team car. The GIO Nissan team has now moved into the economy run stage of this event. Bob Forbes, the team manager, has just instructed Rowan Onslow to back off by a full 1,000 revs down to 7,000 RPM to conserve not only the fuel, because the car has to do 55 laps to get to the finish, but also to conserve tyres and the rest of the vehicle as well.
The Nissan Skyline GTR, Rowan Onslow, the gunsmith from country New South Wales, leading this race with 20 laps remaining and a 34-second lead over Glenn Seaton, now back at the wheel of car number 30. He's been catching gradually. Sometimes it's static, sometimes he's making ground, but they're on an economy drive in the GTR, and it might just get them to the finish. And then creeping back into the top, the major placings, is the not the Tony Longhurst car, Alan Jones and Peter Fitzgerald in car 25, the BMW. Sierra travelling slowly up the back straight, in trouble. Glenn Seaton over the crest of the hill. Is it the misfire that's become a more serious engine problem? So we saw the GTR just seconds ago nursing to the finish, trying to conserve fuel, and now second placed Glenn Seaton, the car that Greg Hansford had done a good job on, won't make it to the pits. So the BMW about to come through, but he's a few laps back. He's 4 laps down. So he's got to pass a stationary Glenn Seaton 4 times, 3 more, before he actually picks up second place. But Glenn Seaton's going nowhere. A really bad luck for him. He deserved far better. And Peter Brock, who over the last 8 years had alternated between retiring from the race and grabbing a placing, was due, just statistically, just on that pattern for retirement. And he's certainly tried hard to get there. He's retired everything he's been driving today. He stepped out of 3 broken motor cars. He broke this one and got into car 11. He broke that and got out of it back into car 5. And now it's stopped again. And boy, oh boy, has it ever stopped.
The third place car of Kevin Waldock and Breck Peters into the pits. These cars can now afford a security stop. Peters and Waldock are lying 4 laps behind the BMW of Alan Jones and Peter Fitzgerald, so there's nothing to catch, so he can afford to take this stop, put on fresh rubber and go out and see what he can do. The Frank Gardner, Benson and Hedges BMW team breaks the rules. They come into the pits with only a few laps to go. By breaks the rules, I mean it's not a smart idea to take a security stop only when you don't need it, and this little car didn't need tyres. But Peter Fitzgerald has indicated that he needed to come to the pit. So now frustration for the Fitzgerald car, as we see someone working inside the vehicle around those electrics, which were the problem earlier. Yes, they're going for the battery again. Now 2 minutes, 16 seconds down. Fitzgerald absolutely anxious to get moving. Gardner laconic at the front of the motor car. He's been in this situation before, seeing time slip away. But even Gardner now starting to grimace as he looks at this mechanic's hands working on the battery, and nothing's happening. 2 minutes 38. Go, go, go. 2 minutes 45. 2 minutes 45. The BMW back out onto the track, still in second position.
On his second last lap is Rowan Onslow. They've had the lead in this car 4 times. They've lost it 3 times. They don't intend to lose it now. There's about 3.3 kilometres remaining in this Enduro, but Mark Scaife, one of the significant things surely is that it's almost 3 laps slower race than last year when Glenn Seaton won in the Sierra.
Yeah, that's right, Will. I think that this race, probably the last 15 laps of this race today, has been driven very, very slowly to conserve all the cars, and I think last year Glenn drove the car reasonably hard all day.
But in fact, their main worry has been getting that fuel stop towards the end. Mechanically, the Nissan car has been very reliable. It's been that local gearbox that's given them their only real worry.
Oh, exactly right, and I think now that all goes well for Bathurst for the car, it's been the only car all day that really hasn't had a major problem, and they really just used the pace car stop to get them into trouble with fuel.
What's it make you feel about Bathurst's potential for Holden Commodores, for BMWs and Sierras?
Well, I think it really makes now for a very interesting race. I think this car obviously is going to be the car to beat, but the Holdens have proved to be fast today, so have the Sierras, and I think with Tony Longhurst back at the helm of the little BM with Alan Jones, it'll be very, very hard to beat too.
A grand job being done, therefore, by Mark Gibbs, who led off in the car, who qualified in second on the grid, and then Rowan Onslow, who will take it to the finish on behalf of the GIO insurance team. Bob Forbes, the team manager, who made the commitment to the car. They really have done very well in what has been a very difficult and eventful race. The Drink Drive 500 at Sandown, the 26th Enduro race here, completed successfully by Rowan Onslow on behalf of team owner and manager Bob Forbes and Mark Gibbs, the lead driver in the car. And indeed it's victory, another Nissan victory at Sandown, because it's been fairly happy hunting ground here for the Nissans. Into second place should be the BMW M3 of Peter Fitzgerald, standing in for an ill Tony Longhurst and Alan Jones, the former world driving champion. Into third place will come car number 28, that's Kevin Waldock and Brett Peters, in a race that's seen only half the field survive. So confirming victory for the Nissan Skyline GTR over the BMW M3 number 25, and third place, the best placed and one of few surviving Ford Sierra Turbos.
Quiet elation for Rowan Onslow and Mark Gibbs, winners of the Drink Drive Sandown 500. Rowan, congratulations on that last driving stint.
Thanks very much, John. I really had it very easy, actually. Mark did all the hard work in the first 100 laps of the race. The misfortune of the other competitors meant that I could really back off, and even when oil was spilled up the back of the circuit in the last 10 laps or so, I was going about 10 seconds slower, not a problem.
Mark Gibbs, when that gearbox went on you on lap 6, you must have thought the race had come to an end.
Well, actually, I did. I actually gave up for a couple of laps there, but then I thought, no, bugger it, let's get into it again, and I think we did the right thing.
Well, what does this win mean to you?
Well, we're going to get over this win, I suppose, but it's looking very good for Bathurst. The car is excellent.
Do you concede anything at all to the Works Nissan team now?
No, I don't.
So, Gibbs and Onslow to win Bathurst?
I'd hope to, yes. Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Longer than last year, but the Drink Drive Sandown 500 has been a classic. 8 different leaders in the 500 kilometres of the event. It's been a sensation, and it shows just what's going to occur this year as the endurance series of races for touring cars in Australia goes on to other circuits. On behalf of Will Hagan and Mark Scaife, I'm John Smales for ABC Sport.